Well, when it comes to kids' health, some doctors are raising the question, are we too clean?
Yeah, the idea being, are we becoming too obsessed with sanitizing everything? It's actually having a negative impact on our immune system. Joining us around the table to talk about it is Dr. Sabrina Fabi. Okay, this is called hygiene hypothesis.
Right.
I was going to say hypnosis. It's not that.
That's another thing.
That's
a whole
segment.
different segment.
Clean your desk, clean your desk. No.
Maybe that's the problem.
Maybe.
Because we're cleaning everything, because we're seeing so many advertisements and all this exposure to messages that we should be cleaning just about everything. We have hand sanitizers everywhere we turn around. And these are things that we were exposed to necessarily 30 or 40 years ago. And so the question is the environment too clean almost to really help children develop the appropriate immune system that they need in order to battle other things?
So help us understand that. What's the downside here? How does it work, and how does your body almost need the germs?
Right, so this is going back to a study that was done in 1958 where investigators looked at children who developed hay fever, and what they found was that the more siblings that child had in the household, there was an inverse relationship to the likelihood they had to get hay fever. So the more kids, the more germs, the less likely you are to get hay fever, and that's because your body's immune system is fighting constantly to fight all those germs all those kids in that household are exposing you to. And so when you don't have that stress on the immune system, then you become more sensitive to things like pollen or dust mites. And so that's why we've now really seen an increase in the rise to hay fever and other things now that we're going into seasonal allergy season.
Yeah, let's talk about some more of the impacts. I remember when I first had kids and my pediatrician said, if you have animals in the house, that's a good thing and let them talk to lick the dog, and it's okay not to pick up the hair all the time because all that is boosting their immune system. So besides the hay fever and some of the allergies, what other downside effects are we seeing with the kids being over sanitized?
There's also been an increase, 10 to 30% increase in food allergies that they saw when they compared statistics from 1997 to 1998 and then now 2009 to 2011. That was in about a 10-year period. And now if we look at data even in these next 10 years, there's probably a really increased rise in food allergy. And I think it's also to this point, right? We're preparing foods really, really well these days, and people are taking really good measures to clean their hands and all of these things. But in doing so, the thought is that this may be contributing to the increase in food allergies that we're also seeing just because of the way that animals, even the way that they're slaughtered sometimes, has changed because of these rules.
So this is the same concept as vaccinations, for example, or maybe introducing a little bit of peanuts so that the peanut allergy is not an issue for kids?
Right, so it's very similar to that, so that if you're not that clean, if you do allow them to play on the dirt, if you do allow them to maybe drop their food and then pick it back up again and put it in their mouth, the 20-second rule or whatever that was once.
20 seconds.
I'm like,
that if you implemented these things, then maybe that child would be exposed to certain allergens or to certain things in their environment at a very early age so that they're just not sensitive to everything in their 30s or their 40s. So I think the point of the matter is that maybe not being so clean isn't such a bad thing.
yeah, kind of like moderation.
Moderation.
Lastly, before we let you go, have doctors been able to kind of trace this back to, even when I was in TV 15 years ago, we didn't have hand sanitizer buckets everywhere you look. Do you think that, can you trace it back to really the hand sanitizer movement, or is there something else that you can point to?
They do believe that, but they've even been looking at this since the 1800s. Sears Roebuck used to put out catalogs with ammonia and your toilet detergent. So there have been pushes throughout the times, that was in the 1800s. And then somewhere along the 50s and 60s, then antibiotics came about. And so then all of a sudden it wasn't personal hygiene that could prevent bugs and infection. It was out of your control. Just take a bunch of antibiotics. So there is also the component of antibiotics potentially. And so now in the 90s, we started switching to this more personal hygiene. So if you clean everything really, really good, if of course you should still cover your mouth when you cough and you sneeze.
And clean your toilet.
I hope so. But perhaps not, pumping all that hand sanitizer all the time after you shake someone's hand.
Really interesting.
Yes, good information. You got that? Because you're the one who cleans
I
your
know,
computer
listen,
every day.
I know. I'm the Clorox wipe girl every day,
Yep,
but
yep.
maybe every other day.
Thanks,
There you
Dr.
go.
Fabi.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks.